Hey, hello, I'm Kråkan, also known as Corvus Cornix, and welcome to Yacc, yet another Crowcast where I pick a game, I play it for a week, and then I talk about it. This week's game is Inside for the PS4, and it was published in 2016, developed and published by Playdead. And also there will be spoilers up ahead, just so you know. But first, a little backstory. This game came with the Limbo bundle, and I put it up until this week to play it, So this game starts you out in the woods, all alone. You're a little kid with a red shirt. And this game looks a lot like Limbo. It was made by the same developer. If I say Limbo, I actually mean Inside because it's very easy to confuse the two. So you walk to the right and you try to avoid people with flashlights. They're basically looking for you for some reason. You don't know yet, but it will become clear at the end of the episode, I guess. So you avoid trucks and headlights and people with flashlights, and eventually you will be chased by a dog, so you have to jump over a cliff. And as I ran for some people, I got shut down. So that's one of the good things with this game. It has a lot of checkpoints, so if you die from a puzzle or, in this case, gunfire, you can just start where you left off, basically. So what I was supposed to do was that I was supposed to hide between some rocks to avoid detection. You have to wait for another truck to leave or another person. And when you're all caught up in the speed of it and things move around, you just want to move ahead, but sometimes you have to stop and wait. So I had to run over across a road, and jump into some water and dive under the water to avoid some more headlights. And eventually I came up on the shore with lots of dead pigs. So it wasn't really clear what's going on and just being baffled and confused. And eventually I ran through a cornfield, and this was one of the more funnier things. You know, you go through the corn and all of a sudden there's some small things following me. Like there was small chickens, like chicks. I don't know, I couldn't help to laugh about it. But so I climbed into a barn and I opened the doors for the chicken. And there was this machine that actually, I think it's a real type of farming equipment. It makes like hay bales. So if you put in like raw grass or hay, it actually spits out like on the other side. So it's kind of funny. I just led the chicks in front of the machine, and the chicks was used as projectiles to get a big like hay bale to fall down, so I could climb up on that. And even later on there are more dead pigs, and you find one with a white parasite up the butt, and it's just charged at me, and I try to avoid it. So what you're supposed to do is make it so it hits like a wall or something, so it gets stunned, and then you can pull out the parasite, and then the animal gets docile, and you can use it as a platform to get into a mind control helmet. And I was like, I think I've seen like a playthrough of this with Jacksepticeye or Markiplier in the past, and I was like, this is really an interesting mechanic. You jump into this helmet and you can control other people with it. I think it's related to the parasite somehow, but you get more information as you go on. So you use some brain slaves, if you can call them that, to open and progress the game. Really clever mechanic, and it comes around a couple of times in the game. So as the game progresses, you find yourself in sort of an industrial city. I dropped down and I found this kind of brain thingy plug, which I pulled out. And this is part of a puzzle where you need to, I think it's like 12 or 13, you need to unplug them so you get an alternative, a different alternate ending. And then there are some more brain puzzles. You need to get the brain slaves to stand on some buttons to progress. And then some platforming on rooftops. And turning off some searchlights on robots so you can activate an elevator. So if you stand in the light, you get tased. Or if the robot sees you, basically. So some time later, I fell down or through the floor, and I landed in a line of these brain-controlled slaves. So now the game's turned into Simon Says. So if you walk into like a square, you move as the others do. So if you stand in like the square, you have to jump, for instance. In the next square, you have to face right and left and whatnot. So until you can break from the chain of things. And then I get chased by more angry dogs, and there's like a water puzzle. And then I stole a sub to explore the depths, because for some reason the world is flooded as well. So something happened in the past, and it's not really clear what happened, but some organization is using people as work labor slaves. How this works, I don't know. Maybe through the parasite and whatnot. So this is the biggest spoiler. Later in the game, you end up in a water tank. You get sucked in, basically. And there's this thing. Let's call it a thing. It's like a blob with lots of hands and arms from people. And you unplug the brain things that are attached to it, and you get integrated into this thing. So there's a lot of theories if you were controlled by this thing all along to save it, or you never know, because during your playthrough you've been controlling other people and people have been controlling others. So it's not that far-fetched to know if this thing has been controlling you. So you turn into this blob thing and you try to basically escape the tank that you're in, and you roll over people and crawl through vents, and eventually you will roll down like a big hill and into like this beautiful landscape, and the game just ends there. That's more or less it. There's like a secret ending to the whole game, but I'll talk about that in just a little bit. So gameplay. Help the little boy through the strange industrial world and find out the truth in the end. Control, the left stick moves the character around, the square button grabs things, the X button jumps, and the option menu brings up the option menu and pauses. Graphics. This game was made in a Unity engine, and the game is very dark, so sometimes, or most often than not, it's really hard to see what you're doing. But the overall atmosphere is spot on. I like it. Just like Limbo, it's like this dark industrial world, and everything is out to get you, and they nailed that part, I think. Sound and music. Martin Stig Andersen and Sös Rydberg made the music for this game. This soundtrack is more like an ambient one, and a lot of times there's no music at all, so I didn't think about even like getting a little snippet at the beginning of the episode to like play, so it was there but not noticeable. Easter eggs, secrets, and glitches. Throughout the game you find these globes or brain controlling devices that you unplug. There are a total of 13 of them, and once you have like unplugged them all, you can go to like unplug the big one. So you go back to early in the chapter, because when you beat the game, you're just like Limbo, you are available to select between the chapters at will. So you go to the farmland where in the cornfield, and there's like a secret hatch in the middle of it. You go down there and you find a switch. So this switch can't be activated if you haven't unplugged all the globes and whatnot. So there's like a puzzle mechanic to this switch puzzle, and I don't know how people figure this out, but during a certain part of the game there's like a soundtrack that plays, and you have to maneuver the switch in order to play that like melody, if that makes sense. And then you open up a door to a room where you can unplug the whole big thing, and when you do that you collapse yourself. So probably you were controlled by something else in the whole throughout the game, and that's the secret alternate ending. So in conclusion, I wrote, yes, this is a puzzle platformer. It's not too heavy on the puzzle part, and if you know what you're doing, you just take like 2 hours to complete the game. The only negative thing I can say about the game is that it's very dark, but you can go into the options, settings, and more brightness to the people, I guess. So I definitely recommend this game. It's a good one. Just by the atmosphere alone, it's a must play, I think. So anyway, thanks for listening and or watching, and take care.